Forced out of first class, she discovered the inspiring truth behind her hidden seal tattoo. Jamie's heart raced as she stepped into the bright chaos of the airport, the lingering scent of coffee and cinnamon rolls wafting around her. She adjusted her thick, worn-out coat, feeling out of place against the polished shoes and tailored suits that surrounded her. A first-class ticket in hand, it felt like a golden ticket to a life she'd only seen in movies. Being a hard-working single mom from a small Midwest town who managed a diner was never glamorous. But today was supposed to be different. Today, she would taste the life she always dreamed of. As she approached her gate, the excitement swelled in her chest, a mixture of anticipation and pride. But then, it came crashing down. An announcement blared over the loudspeakers. "We're sorry, but due to overbooking, we need to downgrade some passengers." The words slapped her like cold water. She felt her cheeks burn red as the gate agent apologetically handed back her ticket, shuffling her into economy class. Jamie could feel the stares. Whispers drifted around her like a swarm of bees. "Just a diner worker," they murmured. And suddenly, the thrill of her journey turned stale. Each step through the terminal felt heavier. The crowds became a blur, the bright lights dimmer as the weight of humiliation pulled in her gut, a familiar ache that became all too real. She clutched her wrist, fingers brushing against her tattoo. A small naval seal, an emblem of her father's legacy, hidden beneath the skin of her everyday life. It was a reminder of resilience, strength, and sacrifice. But in this moment, it felt more like a scar reminding her of her modest roots. Feeling lost, Jamie wandered into the tumultuous heartbeat of New York City. The roaring taxis, the towering skyscrapers, the sweet smell of street pretzels, all of it buzzed around her like electric energy. It felt impossible that someone like her could thrive in a city that so blatantly flaunted success. But then she bumped into someone, Sam, a retired Navy vet. He noticed her tattoo, recognition sparking in his eyes. "Your dad," he began, a warmth radiating from him. As they spoke, Jamie felt a connection, a line drawn between their stories of service, love, and loss. Through her father's teachings, she began to rediscover her own worth beyond societal labels. His words echoed in her mind, urging her to serve others, not just to seek acknowledgement for her struggles. "You know," Sam said gently, "we all have our worth. It's not about the title we wear, but the heart we put into what we do." Jamie could feel the walls she built around her fears start to crumble. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. With renewed determination, Jamie found herself at a charity gala later that week. Surrounded by the elite, her doubts resurfaced like waves crashing. Each laugh felt like mocking echoes of her own struggle. But with her father as spirit guiding her, she stepped onto the stage, heart pounding. "I'm Jamie," she began, her voice steadier than she felt, "and I'm proud to be a diner worker." The room silenced as she shared her journey, her eyes locked onto hers in the crowd, daring them to see beyond the surface. As she poured out her heart, she felt raw energy bursting from her, challenging their perceptions with each word. This wasn't just her story, it was for every single mom scraping by, every hard worker facing the daily grind. This was a moment that could change everything. Would they listen? Would they finally understand what true worth meant? The room remained silent, the audience frozen like stone as Jamie's words washed over them. She could feel the weight of their gazes, some curious, others skeptical. But as she continued, she noticed a shift. A few faces started to soften, nodding ever so slightly as if they were beginning to grasp the heart behind her story. "My dad taught me that true bravery isn't just found on the battlefield," she pressed on. "It's in the everyday battles we all face." The words hung in the air, a declaration against the backdrop of crystal chandeliers and glistening gowns. "For me, it's in the early mornings at the diner, the late-night homework sessions with my son, and in every meal I serve with love and hope." With every sentence, Jamie channeled the spirit of the Navy SEAL her father had been. She was not just recounting memories, she was rallying for dignity, for respect, for acknowledgement. Her fingers trembled, gripping the edge of the podium tightly, but the tremors were replaced with a surge of warmth coming from deep within. This was her moment to shine, a chance to remind everyone that worth wasn't defined by social status or wealth. Suddenly, she spotted a familiar face among the crowd. Sam had slipped in, standing in the back with an encouraging smile. It seemed he had recognized her call to arms. In that moment, she felt both strong and vulnerable, especially knowing she wasn't alone. This was more than just her voice. It was all those who felt diminished, ignored, or invisible. "You may see me as just a diner worker," she said, breathing deeply, "but I see myself as a fighter. A fighter for a better future for my son, for those like me who work tirelessly day after day." A ripple of awareness swept through the room. A woman seated near the front wiped away a tear as Jamie spoke about the struggles of making ends meet, how dreams often felt out of reach. It was real, it was raw, and it struck an emotional chord that resonated with many. As Jamie finished her heartfelt call to action, a mix of applause and hushed whispers filled the space. Some looked moved, clutching each other in silent appreciation, while others exchanged incredulous glances. But she didn't care about the critics. She had said her piece and thrown herself into the light, baring her soul to anyone willing to listen. Just when the applause began to fade, a voice rang out from the crowd, "Thank you for sharing your story." Jamie turned to see a man pushing through the crowd, his eyes gleaming with admiration, or perhaps even recognition. He had an air about him that suggested he understood everything she had said. Was he a journalist? An investor? Before she could formulate the questions racing through her mind, he reached her. "I'm Alex," he said, a broad smile on his face. "I think you have something extraordinary to offer." Jamie's breath caught in her throat. What did he mean by extraordinary? Could there be an opportunity lying ahead of her, something more than just a diner? The thought sent her mind racing with possibilities. In that moment, she realized this journey was just beginning. There was a spark ignited within her, one that might light a path she had never imagined walking. And perhaps, just perhaps, she would find out how to unlock the potential beneath her hidden SEAL tattoo. But could she dare to dream of a life beyond the diner? What awaited her as she stepped into this new chapter? Jamie's heart raced as she stood staring at Alex. His eyes were bright, filled with something that felt like opportunity. It felt almost surreal, like she was floating above the ground, witnessing the moment from a distance. "What do you mean by extraordinary?" she finally asked, forcing the words out past her fluttering heart. Alex's smile widened. "You have a story, Jamie. And it's much bigger than this moment. I see potential, a chance to inspire others, maybe even to start a movement." As he spoke, her thoughts drifted back to the diner. The clattering of plates, the smells of bacon and coffee, the familiar rhythm of her life. Could that possibly all change? Was it actually possible to step outside her worn-out apron and become a voice for those in the shadows, just like her? A few members of the audience began to filter out, while others remained, seemingly intrigued. Sam was still standing by the back wall, his expression one of support, a silent cheerleader. "Let us talk," Alex urged, gesturing toward the side of the room. "I have some ideas, and I believe we can make them happen." Jamie hesitated. The thought of leaving the safe haven of her diner life was terrifying. That diner was comfortable, like an old pair of shoes. But Alex was offering something different, something that could weave her story into the fabric of something bigger. Curiosity piqued, she took a breath and nodded. "Okay, let us talk." As they moved toward a quieter corner, Jamie couldn't shake the feeling of transformation blossoming within her. It was like she had spent years planting seeds in a barren garden, and now, after one brave act of sharing her truth, the flowers were finally beginning to bloom. "What if we started with a social media campaign?" Alex suggested, leaning in. The excitement was contagious. "We could spotlight everyday heroes like you, people who embody the strength and bravery you've talked about." The idea ignited something in her, and she felt a flush of energy surge through her veins. "You mean, Like telling their stories? Exactly, Alex said. Your voice could open the door for so many who feel invisible. With your father's legacy and your journey, we can show that real bravery is in the struggle, the daily hustle. Jamie's mind raced even faster. She thought about the regulars at the diner, the stories they carried, the battles they faced. So many lives intertwined in that small space. Could her voice really shine a light on them? As she submerged deeper into these thoughts, Alex continued to lay out his vision, but anyone else in the room began to fade from her mind. All that existed was potential, the feeling of community, connection, and shared strength. Yet, just as those happy thoughts started building, doubt crept in like a shadow. What if she failed? What if they ridiculed her, or worse, what if she lost herself in this new role? But the tattoo, once just ink on her skin, felt warmer against her heart. She could almost feel it pulsing with life. It reminded her of her father, of resilience against the odds. Still, as the chapters of her story threatened to shift, she couldn't ignore the weight of uncertainty. Could she truly step beyond the diner and into the spotlight? Jamie, Alex's voice broke through her thoughts. You've got this. In that moment, she met his eyes and saw not just belief but a chance to inspire change. Was she ready to accept this new role? Did she have the strength to embrace not only her story but those she represented? Little did she know, the choice she was about to make would set off a chain of events far beyond anything she had ever imagined, and as she pondered her path ahead, the night still held surprises, drawing her closer to the life she had only dared to dream about. But would she have the courage to embrace it? Jamie hesitated as thoughts swirled in her mind. She felt a magnetic pull toward Alex's vision, as if he was holding a lantern that illuminated paths she had never considered. But the shadows of doubt lurked close behind, whispering that her life, as familiar and comforting as it was, might fray at the edges if she dared to step into the unknown. What if I can't do this? She whispered, more to herself than to Alex. His brow furrowed, an expression of genuine concern crossing his face. You can, Jamie. It's okay to be scared. But think about what you've already achieved. You've been a voice for the people in that diner, those regulars who come through every day seeking warm meals and even warmer conversations. You're already inspiring them. Her heart fluttered, a tiny ember of hope flickering in the dark corners of her thoughts. You really think so? I mean, I just serve pancakes and coffee. Alex shook his head, his conviction adding strength to her doubt. No, it's so much more than that. You provide solace in a world that can often be harsh. Every plate you serve carries a story, every smiling face at that counter reflects struggles overcome. You're already making a difference. His words struck her heart. It was true. Those everyday moments, Frank's laugh, Marge's tears, Greg's unwavering spirit were not just fleeting experiences. They were threads in a larger tapestry of community. Could she weave those threads into something more? Jamie took a deep breath, grounding herself. Okay, if I do this, how do we start? Let us launch the campaign and share your story, he said enthusiastically. We'll showcase everyday struggles and triumphs through social media. We can even organize events at your diner. Jamie's pulse quickened at the thought of her little diner becoming a center for community inspiration. Events? Like what? Workshops, storytelling nights, maybe even collaborations with local musicians and artists, Alex replied, his eyes alight with ideas. We'll make it a space where voices are amplified. And maybe we can host it every month, bringing in themes of resilience and hope. Together, we can turn that diner into a beacon of light. A nervous thrill bubbled up in her chest. The thought was daunting, but also awe-inspiring. Jamie imagined the walls of the diner resonating with laughter, stories, and shared strength. What if she could help others share their struggles, just like she had with her own? I've dreamed of something like this, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. But I've never known how to start. You're not alone anymore, Alex reassured her, a warmth in his tone. We'll do this together. But just as Jamie began to feel the exhilarating rush of possibility, the moment was disrupted by a sudden clang. A large plate dropped from a nearby table, sending shards skidding across the floor. Jamie's heart sank as she glanced toward the noise. A woman in the audience, one of the last to leave, stood awkwardly. "I just wanted to thank you, Jamie," she stammered, her voice trembling, "for sharing your story. It reminded me that I can still fight, too." That simple act of gratitude pierced through Jamie's swirl of anxiety, anchoring her. She was not alone. People were listening. The small movements were already beginning to ripple out, despite her fears. As the woman approached, Jamie realized that this was just the beginning. A single voice could inspire another, and then another. But what lay ahead was still wrapped in uncertainty. What if we actually do it? She thought, the weight of everything both exhilarating and terrifying at the same time, and in that moment, a resolve built within her. She felt the tattoo on her arm, an emblem of her father's legacy and the struggles that had shaped her journey. "Yes," she whispered to herself. "I will try. I will be the voice." Little did she know that while she took her first steps toward change, hidden challenges awaited her. Would she have the strength to face them? Jamie felt a shiver of anticipation run down her spine as a spark of destiny ignited within her. But as the night continued to unfold, Jamie's courage would soon be put to the ultimate test. With the air thick with anticipation, Jamie stared at the woman who had just spoken. The gratitude in her eyes seemed to radiate hope, drawing Jamie further into the moment. The diner was quieter now, the clatter of dishes replaced by a hush that felt almost sacred. She sensed every heart in the room was tuned to her. "Thank you for saying that. It means more than you know," Jamie replied, her voice catching slightly. She knew she had to make this count. As the woman nodded and stepped back, Jamie felt the weight of their shared experience. The exhilaration that had recently sparked within her began to flicker like a candle in a whirlwind. Here she was, standing on the cusp of something transformative, but part of her wanted to cling to the safety of her everyday world, the clink of silverware, the hum of conversations, the warmth of familiar faces. Alex's voice broke her reverie. "Let us start small. Maybe we can set up a few casual gatherings. Get people talking. Share stories, their victories, their losses." He leaned closer, excitement radiating from him. "People are craving connection, Jamie. All you need to do is open the doors." Jamie looked around the diner. What if this little eatery could become a sanctuary of stories? She began to imagine the space filled with friends and neighbors, laughter mingling with tears. But what if they don't want to share? She asked, apprehension creeping in again. Alex's expression shifted, reassuring yet firm. There's power in vulnerability. If you can share your fears, others will too. You've already built a bridge with them every day over coffee. This is just a wider stream. Her heartbeat quickened as Jamie felt the rush of possibilities whirl around her. It was one thing to serve pancakes and coffee, but now it was about weaving connections that had the potential to inspire. Suddenly, headlights flickered in her mind, illuminating the vision she had long feared to pursue. Just then, the door swung open, and the scent of rain-soaked pavement wafted in. More regulars filtered in, dripping with stories of their own. Jamie caught snippets of laughter and small talk, and her chest tightened. This diner felt alive, pulsing with the rhythm of their lives. She was already part of something bigger. "Okay, let us do it," she finally declared, surprising herself. Alex's face lit up. "Seriously?" "Yes." She found strength in her decision, fueling a newfound determination. "We can start next week. I'll put up a sign, invite everyone to bring a story to share. Maybe we can even make themes, like overcoming fear or finding hope. Each month we can focus on different challenges." The room seemed to push against her excitement, a whirlwind of potential. Then she hesitated again. What if no one shows? Then we'll keep trying until they do. Building community isn't easy, but it's worth it in the end, he said with a wink. She drew a deep breath, her heart racing now. While she had envisioned a dozen scenarios filled with laughter and bonding, the fear of failure loomed heavy. But what if people don't relate to me or my story? Alex stepped closer, his gaze steady. Most people fear they're alone in their struggles. It'll resonate with them, trust me. And you're not alone, Jamie. You're leading. His confidence gave her strength. For the first time, Jamie felt the tingling thrill of possibility outweighing her emotions of doubt. She smiled, feeling lighter. But just as her spirits began to rise, a chilling noise cut through the buzz, glass breaking from across the diner. A young boy had knocked a cup off the counter, scattering shards across the floor. His eyes widened in horror, and Jamie felt her heart leap. As she rushed over to comfort him, a voice inside whispered, "This is just the first step." She had her plans, but was she ready for the unexpected? Little did she know, this was only a taste of the challenges ahead. Would she gather the courage to face them, to lead without letting fear hold her back? Jamie knelt by the boy, her resolve strengthening as determination welled up inside her. What would the next gathering bring? Would it bring unity, or would it test her more deeply than she imagined? Jamie knelt beside the boy, whose little fingers trembled as he pointed at the scattered glass. She could see the fear in his eyes, and her heart went out to him. "Hey, it's okay. Accidents happen, right?" she said gently, trying to catch his gaze. "You're not hurt, and that's what matters." His wide eyes blinked, the remnants of panic simmering down under her calm words. She scooped up the largest piece of glass, carefully avoiding the jagged edges. "Let us work together, okay? We'll clean this up, and I'll make you a nice hot chocolate," she promised, hoping the idea might bring a smile. The boy nodded, slowly finding some comfort in her presence. As she gathered the shards, Jamie felt a shift within herself. This moment, this small act of kindness, was a reminder that in the heart of any chaos lay a spark of connection. It was about being there for one another, no matter how small the gesture. Alex leaned against the counter, watching with admiration. He caught her eye and gave a small nod, as if he understood what she was discovering. The diner around her felt vibrant and alive, but it was the shared connection that truly pulsed at its heart. Once the floor was clear, she helped the boy to his feet. "There. All done. Now, how about that hot chocolate?" His face broke into a shy smile, the cloud of worry lifting. "Can I have marshmallows?" he asked, his innocence shining through. "Of course. Marshmallows it is," she chirped, the tension in her shoulders easing. Jamie glanced over her shoulder at the other patrons, who were now watching with gentle smiles. They'd seen the little incident unfold, and witnessed her comforting the boy. It seemed that a ripple of warmth spread through the room, uniting them in shared humanity. Pouring the hot chocolate felt easy as Jamie started to lose herself in the joy of caring for others, pouring with the kind of grace that came from the heart. She turned around to find more customers smiling and nodding in encouragement. The energy in the room had shifted, and she could almost touch it. Maybe, just maybe, this was how her gatherings could begin. "Hey everyone! Who's in for a story night next week?" she called out, her voice ringing with newfound enthusiasm. A few hands shot up, and laughter erupted from a corner booth where a couple of older ladies shared a secret. "Count me in, Jamie," called a familiar voice, one of the regulars who always sat in the same booth with his newspaper. Jamie beamed, feeling heat flood her cheeks. She didn't have to be perfect, she just needed to connect and invite others in. Suddenly, a hum of chatter filled the diner as stories began to bubble forth. The anticipation of what these gatherings might bring urged her forward. She noticed the boy still watching her, his eyes shining with trust as she handed him his whipped cream-topped treat. "Thank you, Miss Jamie," he said in a soft, sincere voice. It warmed her in a way she hadn't expected. As she took a breath, the weight of her earlier hesitation faded. The diner was imbued with a warmth she hadn't anticipated, and for the first time, she felt they were a community. Yet lurking just beneath the surface was the nagging question: their connection was fragile. What might shake it? Just then, the door swung again, revealing a figure she hadn't expected. A newcomer stepped inside, tall and commanding, with an air of mystery. Everything inside Jamie stilled as she recognized him. The very man whose story had echoed in her own past, igniting her fears and aspirations alike. "What brings you here?" she thought, her heart racing. What could this mean for her plans? And would she be able to welcome him like she had everyone else? As he locked eyes with her, Jamie felt the stirrings of another challenge rising in her chest. Would this moment shatter her fragile plans, or would it be the spark to ignite a deeper connection? Jamie's breath caught in her throat as the figure moved closer, the bell above the door chiming softly behind him. He looked around, taking in the diner with casual confidence. She could feel the warmth from the vibrant, bustling patrons fading, replaced by a chill that seeped into her heart. "David?" she whispered, almost afraid to say his name. So many memories flooded her mind, both sweet and stinging. He caught her eye, the same piercing gaze that had once made her feel as if she was the only person in a room full of strangers. But now uncertainty loomed, a shadow creeping in where light used to shine. "Hey, Jamie," he said, his voice deep and calming, but there was an edge to it that betrayed his composure. He stepped closer, and the boy beside her shifted nervously, sensing the tension in the air. Jamie knelt down, forcing herself to recover. "Do you want another hot chocolate?" she asked the boy, her voice bright and warm, trying to maintain the light-hearted atmosphere. "We can make it extra special with sprinkles." The boy's face lit up again as Jamie focused, but her mind raced. David's appearance brought with it a torrent of emotions she thought she'd buried deep. Memories tinged with regrets danced around her thoughts. What did he want now? Why had he chosen this moment to step back into her life? His eyes were soft, almost pleading. "I heard about the diner," he said quickly, as if desperate to bridge a gap. "I wanted to see you, Jamie." "To say why now?" she interrupted, her voice sharp with disbelief. Her heart thudded heavily in her chest. "After all this time? Why show up here, of all places?" David shifted his weight, a frown crossing his face. "I've been trying to get my life together. I'm not the same person I was." "I thought what?" she challenged, but then she looked around. The patrons were still watching, the earlier lightness was gone. She felt exposed. "Can we talk somewhere private?" He nodded, and just as they were moving toward the back, the boy tugged on her sleeve. "Miss Jamie, are you okay?" His sweet innocence struck her, grounding her in the moment. "Yes, sweetie, I promise I'm okay. Just a little surprise." She gave him a reassuring smile before glancing at David once more. "Let's talk outside," she decided, leading him through the crowd. Each step felt heavy. Doubts and memories mixed in her heart, battling for dominance. Outside, the air was cool and refreshing, a relief from the diner's warmth. They moved to a quieter corner, where flickering streetlights created a soft glow. "What's this about, David?" His face softened, but vulnerability lingered around him. "I know I messed up, and I'm sorry. I've been thinking a lot about why I left, how I hurt you." He took a breath, the words spilling forth. "I want to be better, to explain. And maybe, to rebuild what we lost." The weight behind his confession stunned her. Jamie's heart raced even faster now. Could they come back from the ashes of their shared past? But just as she opened her mouth to respond, the distant sound of sirens pierced the air, drawing her gaze momentarily away from David's intent eyes. Was this the moment she'd imagined? Or the start of something more tenuous? "Jamie," he urged softly, his voice breaking through her tangled thoughts, "can we try again?" As uncertainty washed over her, Jamie felt the pull of both hope and fear collide within. Could she trust him? Was there a foundation worth rebuilding? The answer was just on the other side of this conversation, but the weight of her decision loomed large. And in that moment, the path forward shimmered, but with so many unknowns twisting invisibly ahead. What would she choose? Would she uncover the trust that had once burned bright, or would she seal the cracks for good? The cool night air surrounded Jamie like a comforting blanket, but the swirling thoughts in her mind made her feel unsteady. She faced David, the weight of so many unanswered questions hanging between them. His eyes held a mix of regret and hope, emotions that twisted her heart in ways she didn't think were possible. "Jamie, I know that I don't deserve a second chance," he said, his voice steadier than she expected. "But I've changed. I want to prove it to you. I need you to see that I'm not the same guy who walked away. His words lingered in the air, heavy with the promise of something more. Could it be true? Could he really have transformed into a person worthy of her trust? The memories of late-night talks and sweet nothings begged to be revisited. Still, the pain of the past echoed louder than any sweet memory. You left, she managed to say, the bitterness creeping into her tone again. You just disappeared without a word. David frowned, guilt washing over his features. I was scared, Jamie. I had so many things happening in my life. I thought it was best for you. I thought I was protecting you. Protecting me? She repeated incredulously, her heart racing. By breaking my heart? By leaving me to pick up the pieces alone? He stepped forward, his desperation palpable. I was wrong. I see that now. But I've had time to think, reflect. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Just for a chance to show you who I am now. To be part of your life again if you'll let me. For a moment she was lost in his eyes, those familiar depths that once sparkled with laughter and love. The sirens in the distance faded, and the reality of the busy street dimmed around them. The world felt strangely still, as if it was holding its breath while she battled within herself. Part of my life? She echoed softly, contemplating what he meant by that. Could it be that simple? Or was it merely another hollow promise that would lead to more heartbreak? Before she could respond, the boy from the diner rang in her mind. His innocent gaze had called to her heart. He had witnessed their encounter and saw the confusion in her eyes. Did she want to expose him to another potential disappointment? The thought frightened her. Jamie? David's voice pulled her from her thoughts, concern etched across his face. Please don't shut me out like before. I'm here now, ready to talk, to sort things out. But could she really risk it? The warmth of their previous connection battled with the jagged scars that still ached on her heart. It would take a lot more than just an apology to fix everything. Just then, a couple walked past, their laughter ringing out, pulling her attention momentarily. The world kept moving around her while she stood frozen, fighting her internal turmoil. Damned if she did, damned if she didn't. In that moment, she heard herself say, You want to talk? Then tell me why you really left. What made you walk away from everything we had? His eyes widened, surprise morphing into a determined resolve. You deserve that. I owe you the truth. As he stepped closer, the shadows danced around them, and Jamie felt her heart wobble on the edge of a decision that could change everything. Would the truth David revealed bring her closer or push her farther away? And just like that, the moment hung in the air, thick with tension and the taste of unresolved feelings. What secrets would he unveil, and how would they reshape her understanding of the man before her? Jamie's breath caught again, but she stood firm. She needed to know. As Jamie stood there, her heart racing, the shadows seemed to sway with the rhythm of her uncertainty. David opened his mouth, took a deep breath, and let the words spill out, like a dam breaking after years of being held back. I left because I thought I was not enough, he admitted, his voice trembling slightly. I had just lost my job, and everything I thought I was crumbled around me. I felt like a failure, and I couldn't bring you down too. The world around them faded into the background. She could see the memories flickering behind his eyes, an ache there that matched her own. A part of her wanted to reach out and console him, to soothe the pain that lingered like a ghost between them. But hurt was a double-edged sword. Would allowing him to open up lead to healing or greater heartache? Not enough? She echoed, her voice softer now. David, you never even gave me a choice. You could have let me decide if I wanted to stay, to help you. Wasn't I worthy enough to stand by you? He looked away, swallowing hard, guilt etching deeper lines into his face. I was selfish. I was absorbed in my own chaos and didn't even think of what it meant for you. For us. He paused, searching for the right words. I just wanted to spare you. Her heart screamed in frustration, wanting to shake him awake. Spare me what? And what does that say about how you saw our relationship? He took another step forward, closing the distance. I see that now. I see how wrong I was. But there's more. I started going to therapy after I left. I had to face my demons. I needed to understand why I ran. As the details of his struggles spilled onto the pavement between them, Jamie felt the heat of her anger slowly fading, replaced by a flicker of compassion. Yet that flicker was dulled by her fear. The scars were still fresh in her heart, gnawing at the edges of her resolve. "So, you want to be part of my life again?" she asked, her voice slightly cracked. "You want me to just, what? Forget the pain? Pick up where we left off?" David sighed, his breath heavy with the weight of their past. "No. I don't expect that. I wouldn't want you to forget or dismiss the hurt. I just want a chance to show you that I'm not that same scared boy anymore. I want to be the man who stands by you, the man who fights for you." Tears pricked Jamie's eyes, blurring her vision. She felt the push and pull of everything they'd shared and lost. The deep laughter from moments long past, the warmth of simple touches, and the cold sting of abandonment all twisted inside her. "I need time," Jamie said, her voice shaking as she fought to keep composure. "You've changed, and I want to believe that. But trust it's not something I can hand over. Not right now." He nodded slowly, understanding shining in his eyes. "I get that. I don't want to rush you. Just know, I'm here, whenever you're ready." Jamie felt a bittersweet relief wash over her, knowing she had a choice again. Maybe she could build anew, brick by brick this time. But questions loomed large, casting shadows over her fragile heart. "What if I decide I can't?" she whispered, vulnerability creeping in. "What if the past is too heavy to bear?" Just then, a flicker of illumination erupted from the streetlights above, catching David's face in a soft glow. In that moment, something shifted in her chest. Could she take that risk? Was the spark of hope worth the potential for heartbreak? And as she looked deep into his eyes, searching for the strength to face whatever came next, her world trembled on the brink of possibility. But would she be able to step forward into the unknown? "Tell me, David," she said with a tremor, "how do you plan to prove to me that this isn't just words this time?" His gaze intensified, determination igniting the air between them. "You'll see. I'll show you." The street echoed with their silence, tension suspended like a thread pulled tight. The night was still, and Jamie felt the weight of destiny hovering, waiting for her decision. What would she uncover about herself, about the love they once shared before this moment truly ended? As Jamie stood with David in the dim glow of the streetlight, the air thick with unspoken words, she felt the weight of her decisions pressing on her chest. The flicker of hope mingled with trepidation as she searched for answers buried deep within herself. Could they rewrite their story? Could she bear the risk of disappointment again? "Jamie," David began again, the softness in his voice weaving through her thoughts, "I know you're scared. I'm scared too." As their eyes locked, she glimpsed a flicker of sincerity in his expression, a raw honesty that whispered of his transformation. It was a stark contrast to the boy who had once run away, leaving her to pick up the pieces alone. "I need to know one thing, David. What does being there for me look like now?" She crossed her arms defensively, but inside, an ember of curiosity ignited. Was he prepared to build something solid this time? David took a step closer, his voice steady. "It means being present, even when it's hard. I want to face challenges together. I want to learn from you, to support you just like I should have before." Her heart stirred at the tenderness in his words. Memories of laughter and warmth mingled with the ache of betrayal. The thought of rebuilding was daunting, a fragile thing that could easily break. "Tell me this, how do I know you won't disappear again when life gets tough?" Jamie asked, each word tinged with emotion. "I can't promise it'll be easy. But I promise I'll work at it and communicate. I don't have all the answers, but I want to dig deep, grow, and earn your trust back." "But trust has to be built on actions, not just promises," she replied, her resolve firm. Slowly, the tension unraveled, replaced with a sense of openness. The clamor of the busy street faded to a dull hum as they both considered the ramifications of vulnerability. "Would it help if I showed up at your diner? Help out? Maybe even host those story nights?" he ventured, a hint of hope flickering in his voice, accompanied by the trepidation of opening that door. Why the diner? Jamie frowned, unsure if that was just a desperate attempt or a genuine desire. It's where you found your voice. And I want to see you in that space, surrounded by your people. I want to understand who you are today. With that statement, a smile broke through her guarded demeanor. The thought of him standing behind the counter, serving alongside her, made her heart swell with warmth. Okay, she breathed, the weight lifting slightly. You can join me at the diner. But this isn't a free pass. You'll have to prove yourself, and I need to see commitment. His eyes brightened, a hint of relief crossing his face. I'll do whatever it takes, Jamie. I'm done running away. And just like that, a small seed of hope was planted, the kind that could blossom into something beautiful. New energy surged through her, inviting the possibility of renewal, of trust, and of partnership. Jamie realized she wasn't just stepping into the unknown, she was leaping into a chance to reclaim what had been lost and rebuild with intention. As they turned to head back to the diner, laughter echoed from the street, weaving through the night air. Jamie felt lighter, ignited by the connection sparking between her and David. A part of her was nervous, still dancing with doubt. Those habits of self-preservation were not easily broken. But within her bosom, the tattoo on her wrist pulsed with renewed strength, a reminder that she was capable of rising above adversity. David caught her gaze momentarily, and she saw determination etched in his features, a reflection of her own resolve. Let us take it one day at a time, she said, her voice growing steady, almost resigned but filled with cautious optimism. They walked side by side, a fragile yet unshakable bond weaving between them as they ventured into the familiar warmth of the diner. The light spilling from the windows felt inviting, promising connection akin to the one they were slowly redefining. Stepping back inside, Jamie's heart swelled with belonging as she took in the sight of regulars chatting, laughter ringing through the air. But it wasn't just her diner anymore. It was their diner, a place where stories would be crafted anew, connections deepened, dreams shared, and laughter echoed. Hey everyone! We're setting up story night starting next week, Jamie called, the warmth of her voice rippling through the room. A chorus of cheers erupted, igniting excitement in the atmosphere. This was the moment, the fresh beginning. With David at her side and her regulars cheering her on, she felt the comfort of community wrapping around her. The old wounds still lingered, buried beneath the surface, but she had the power to chart a new course, one filled with courage and vulnerability. And above all, she needed to embrace whatever lay ahead. Are you ready for this? David whispered, standing close by, anticipation coloring his tone. Let us find out, Jamie replied with a brave smile, a sparkle of excitement in her eyes. As they shared a glance filled with possibility, Jamie felt a weight lift, the kind that came from choosing connection over fear. In this moment, she knew they would face the future together, one story at a time. Remember to take this journey with us. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support truly matters. Comment your reactions and feelings about Jamie's transformation and her journey of resilience. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.